right? Now, the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to use an if then else condition, okay? Because any programming language, if you have, right, it should have variables, assignments, printing, loops. Most important thing is if then else conditions, right? So I'm going to use an if then else condition here. So let me open up this notepad. Okay. Inside this stored procedure, I'm going to print if P1 is greater than 0, right? Say if P1 is greater than 10, I will print it is greater than 10. I'm just making a simple example out of it. If it is not so, it will print it is not less than 10. Now to write that, if, again the syntax is very simple, if P1 is less than 10, right, then the keyword then, right? Now I'm going to print something. If P1 is less than 10, print within that P1 is less than 10, else, right, print something else. P1 is not less than 10, right? Towards the end, right? Once the if is done, you have to give, like loop, end loop, you have to say if, end if. In C language, you'll use open brace and close brace. This end command, end if, end loop, or the end instructs PLSQL that the construct is ending over here. This if construct is ending here. The for construct is ending here. Or the if block is ending here. The for block is ending here. The procedure block is ending here. Right? So if you want to do an if then else condition, it's very simple. If condition, then body, else body, end if. You can have nested if, else if, something like that, which is same as any other programming language. But the basic if condition is this. Let us try to execute this condition also, right? Procedure created. Now let us execute sp1 within bracket 9 comma hello. So the moment you give P1 is less than 10, because it is printing P1 is less than 10 because 9 is less than 10. The same command I'm going to execute, so the then portion is executed. Now I'm going to say exec sp1 within bracket 12 comma haha. Okay. Since 12 is not less than 10, it is printing P1 is not less than 10. So the else portion of the if is executing. So the basic if then else is if condition, then body, else body, end if. Is this construct clear to you all? Simple if then else. Okay, perfect. So as a language, right? As a language, what you are seeing over here, commenting, procedures, parameter passing, printing, assignment of variable values, conditioning, which is branching, looping. These are all the basic elements, whether you take COBOL or C or C++ or Java, .NET, any language, these uses are always there, right? Like C, we don't have pointers in Oracle. There is nothing like a pointer, right? It is not an object-oriented program. For example, in C++ or Java or .NET, you will have classes, objects, instantiation, something like that. Here, it is a procedural language. Procedural language meaning you write everything as an independent set of functions and you pass parameters. There is nothing like an object, instantiating object, inheritance, polymorphism. Those concepts are not here. It is a language like C or COBOL, procedural language. Now, let us move to the next level in the stored procedures. Now, in this stored procedure, I have created a stored procedure called SP1, right? And which is using all this information. Within this SP1, I want to use SQL statements. For example, insert statements, right? I want to do SQL statements. For example, I want to insert a record into the payslip table. 10 times insert some records. For example, I go to the SQL command line. Okay. Let me delete all the records from payslip. Delete from payslip table. There are no records. Describe payslip table. Now I want to insert 10 records into the payslip. Okay. Employee ID 101, MMYY, and then salary, right? Let me do that. Let me try to do that. Inside the for loop, I'm going to, okay, 8 times I'm going to, sorry, loop. Whatever character I'm going to give over here, I'm going to use that for printing, right? For inserting. Now let us say I'm going to exactly use the insert statement. Insert into payslip values. Okay. I'm going to use employee number also over here. I'm going to use another say E1 in integer. Employee number also I'm taking it as a parameter E1. The value must be E1, the value that I pass. Then the second one should be P1. The third one I'm going to use instead of character, because that's a number, right? Number, right? Or I can just insert the loop into 100. Okay. Loop counter is 1, right? For first record, it's going to insert 100. Second record, it's going to insert 200, something like that, right? Now I'm going to say I star 100. Okay. Let me try to do that. I'm going to pass the employee number. I'm going to pass the month. Loop counter is 1. It is going to insert 100. Loop counter is equal to 2. It is going to insert 200, something like that. Now let me comment this line. Okay. Dash dash. I am using an SQL statement inside PLSQL as though it is the syntax of the language. The advantage of PLSQL is you can use SQL interchangeably within your stored procedures. Every variable can be used as it is when you are dealing with stored procedures. So there is no difference between a normal variable and a stored procedure variable inside here. Now let me try to compile this. Right click, copy. I come over here. Edit, paste. Hope there is no syntax error. Oh, great. Because many times when you write it, no, there may be a small syntax error here and there. You miss a semicolon or you miss a star. Now let me execute this, right? Let me say select star from my table. How many records are there? Let me see. 101. Okay. Let me say execute stored procedure 1 for the employee number 101. Then I'm giving the character as 0109. Let us execute. Okay. PLSQL stored procedure successfully completed. Let me say whether it has inserted so many records inside that payslip, right? Select star from payslip. Look at this. It has inserted, right? 101, 101, right? So many things. And then since I have given that loop counter into 100, right? And it has executed this information inside it. So I have given that P1 counter to do that, to increment it and then execute it. Now, for that, it has executed so many records in so fast, right? If you see the speed at which it has inserted the records, that's too huge. I passed the employee ID and then I used this as the salary, right? And he has included that 0109 over here and he inserted right. And it was so fast. To insert so many records, he did not take time at all. That's the key, right? Now I say delete all the records from, okay? Delete from payslip. Now I want to make a simple change, okay? Don't insert so many records. I want to go to the stored procedure, okay? Because if you look over here, right? I passed P1, right, as an integer. Instead of this, don't execute so many times this 109 times, right? Rather than I will pass a value also, right? Okay. P2 character, right? I have given a long value 109. That's why he has included so many characters. Now I'm going to instead of this P1, use P2 as the value, Control A, Control C. I have dropped all the records over here because last time I gave 109, which is a too huge a number. Right. Now this time let me say execute SP1 employee number 101 5 times for 0109. Okay. So it should insert, as per my logic, it should insert, since the second parameter is 5, it should have inserted only 5 records. Select star from payslip. Now it has inserted only 5 records. I pass the third parameter 0109. He used here 1 into 100, right? Now he has used that logic to do that part. The key here is you write programming logic also in this language, SQL syntax also in this language, which is very easy for the Oracle programmers to work between SQL as well as the programming logic. That is the sole purpose of stored procedures. Is this clear? I have just used insert statement inside a so I can use update statement, I can use delete statement. Everything is as simple, right? Someone has asked what is 0109 here, because I just passed the value for MMYY, right? I use the parameter P2 to be inserted over here. I just pass the parameter as a in parameter. That's the advantage of stored procedure. So you use programming language constructs as well as SQL construct in the same language interchangeably, correct? Now, someone has asked how come the salary is into 100, because I have used the logic in the insert statement as I star 100. So when the loop counter is 1, it is 1 into 100. When the loop counter is 2, it is 2 into 100. When the loop counter is 3, it is saying 3 into 100. So every time, so that is the advantage here. You use a logic to insert records, to update records, correct? Right. Now, for using update, delete, there is no issue, right? The moment you use select statements are different, okay? Select statements are different, slightly different. Syntax wise they are same, but there is one additional clause that you need to use in the select statement. Okay. Someone has asked why the last entry is 100. Again, we have not sorted on any value, right? If you sort based on the value, obviously you can have sort based on this salary also. But if you see 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, there are 5 entries for the entire loop, right? That is why it's not displaying in the order in which it is inserted. The order in which it is inserted may be different, but the way it is sorted may be different. Okay. Now, the next thing that we are going to see in this particular in this session, right? In today's session, I am going to have 2 stored procedures. Okay. One procedure calling another procedure. Okay. For example, sp1 calling sp2. How can I do that? So let me just delete these commands. Okay. Anyway, it's again a throwaway code. This is only for example. This is procedure 1. Okay. Let me have only one parameter. Okay. Just for the example purpose. E1 is integer. Now I'm going to have one more procedure. Okay. Create or replace procedure sp2. Here I am going to have 2 parameters, x1 in integer, x2 out integer. That means x1 will be getting a value from somewhere else to inside this procedure. X2 is going to be a return value from this procedure. Okay. I'm going to make sp1 to call sp2 and sp2 returning some value to sp1. Okay. Now same as this one, as begin. Okay. End. Now what I want to make is x2 to be x1 plus 10. Okay. I'm going to just make x2 colon equal to x1 plus 10. This is going to be incremented by 10 and that is going to be assigned back to this guy. Now since this is being called, sp2 I'm going to call from sp1, so the called procedure must be defined first. Okay. So when you are calling something, right, the called ones must be defined first, then the caller. sp1 is going to be the caller, sp2 is going to be the called one, right? Now from sp1 I am going to call, right, simply say sp2 within bracket the parameter e1. Okay. If I pass 10 as a parameter value here, 10 will be passed over here to x1 and I have given another value I, right? I'm going to have e1 comma I. That means e1 is going to be associated with x1, 1-to-1 mapping. I is going to be associated with x2. Now before calling this procedure sp2, I am going to say I colon equal to 0. I am initializing I. But after calling sp2, what will happen? I want to print the value of I. Now I am saying dbms underscore output dot put underscore line within brackets I. Okay. Now I'm printing that. Let us see what it executes. Okay. Because now I'm going to pass 10 or say 15. If I pass 15 here for E1, that 15 will be passed on to the procedure sp2. So it is 15 plus 10, 25. So I should be assigned to 25 and that should be printed. Always remember, called ones you define first, caller you define towards the end of it. Now let me copy this. Okay. I go back, edit, paste. Let me see whether there are any syntax errors. Did I miss it? Okay, procedure, first procedure is created, second procedure is also created, right? Out meaning variable passing by reference. If you send in meaning passing by value, out meaning passing by reference. If people are aware of C programming, in parameter meaning passing by value, out parameter meaning passing by reference. Now let me execute stored procedure 1. Execute sp1 with the value of 15. So sp1 should internally called sp2. sp2 adds 10 to the parameter that you have passed, and it is returning the value to I. I gets the value 25, and that is printed over here. Correct? So if I pass execute sp1 with the value of 45, 45 will be added with 10 and 55 will be given. So who adds it? Not sp1 adds. sp1 passes that value to sp2. sp2 is going to increment this 45 plus 10, and that is giving the value to I, and that is printed over here as 55, right? This is a very simple way of passing parameters between stored procedures. Okay, is this clear? One procedure calling another procedure with parameters, output parameters. Only difference, in C you have to have complex ampersand, star mark, etc., etc. Here very simple. In meaning it is passing by value, out meaning it is passing by reference, right? Here sp1 calls sp2 because from sp1 I am having a reference to sp2, so sp1 calls sp2 with parameters, right? Okay, now just one second. Describe user underscore procedures. Let me just see whether the table exists. Okay, now there's a table called user underscore procedures. If I want to know what all the procedures already existing, right, I can always say select procedure name from user underscore procedures, right? Again, either it may be in the procedure name or in the object name. Okay, select object underscore name from user underscore procedures. If you say select object name from user underscore procedures, pretty much we have got select table name from user underscore tables. You could see stored procedures on sp1, sp2, right? Previously existing stored procedures, etc. So if you want to know which procedures do exist, you can use this command to find out which are the procedures already existing, right? So this is how you will see what are the stored procedures existing in the database, right? Okay, any doubts in this? Is this clear? Just to recap today's session, we talked about how to create a stored procedure. Create stored procedure, create or replace stored procedure, passing in value, passing out value, one procedure calling another procedure, compiling using show error, how to see the compilation errors, then using commenting, variable declaration, if then else conditions, DBMS output, for loop, using insert statements within stored procedures, and how to see which are all the stored procedures and how to drop stored procedures. This is what we have seen today. Okay. Okay. Now Anyway, when you are going to take the notes over here, right? This is what the procedure thing that I have given. By tomorrow, even this recorded webinar, already all the previous Oracle webinars are now available in the recorded webinars of openmentor.net course demos. Now you can do the same thing. Again, this webinar will also be split and then placed into our recorded webinars. By tomorrow, you can expect this one into our recorded webinars content. Okay. Good. So I will stop the webinar here today. We will have more in stored functions and packages tomorrow, and have doubt clearance section tomorrow also. Is that okay? Cool. People who have got some doubts in the code before they're taking the notes, just please wait till tomorrow. I will upload this information to our openmentor.net recorded webinars. You can expect that by tomorrow afternoon. Thanks a lot. I'll stop here.